Hey guys, this is Justin at the Survivor Review, and today we'll be talking about episode 9 of season 3 of Ash vs. Evil Dead, titled Judgment Day. This is the second to last episode of the season, and these next couple of videos are going to be pretty bittersweet because it has been officially announced that the show has been cancelled and will not be coming back for a season 4, which just bums me out so much, man. We all expected that with the way the season's been going, with the way it's just been steadily declining in the ratings and just not doing so well. So it was to be expected, Bruce Campbell has been hinting at it after all this time, but you just didn't want it to be true. You wanted that glimmer of hope to, shine through and to get that another season, and it's not gonna happen. Next week is the series finale of the show, and it's just hard to believe. But you know what? Don't want to dwell on that, because this episode was friggin' amazing. I know I said episode 7 was the best episode of the season so far. I remember I was just praising the heck out of that one. No. That episode, step aside. This is the best episode of the season so far. This episode was great. It had so many Evil Dead moments. It was the most Evil Dead-esque episode of the entire season. Great, just dark, vibe to it. Some good atmosphere, some creepy moments, just some memorable sequences. That is just incredible, and I loved it. So this episode begins in just an insanely brutal way with Zoe tied up at the hands of Ruby and Kaya, and you actually see them create a page of the Book of the Dead, which is just something we've never seen before, and something we really don't want to see, because it's just painful. This scene almost felt like it was out of the Evil Dead remake with, the brutality of it, with just them cutting the skin off of her back in the shape of a page, and tubes attached to her, draining her blood. I know I was saying in the past few videos that the Knights of Samaria are kind of idiots and not the brightest characters, but no, I didn't want this to happen to her. That's just painful. But then, she ends up breaking free and making a run for the door, but ends up, getting stopped by Kaya, who proceeds to just gouge her eyes out. That's the opening stinger, and that was just painful. So we cut to Ash, Pablo, and Brandy coming home. Brandy's not feeling so great. She's a little sick, throwing up a little bit, just her reaction to, being dead. That little thing. Ash is perfectly fine. Nothing affects him. He doesn't even get hangovers anymore, as he says. And Ash has this really cool speech where this is continuing off of kind of the serious Ash that we've had in the last couple episodes. They're still continuing that into this one, and I love that. But he has just this great speech where he's, naming off the people who's died, which is basically everybody who's important to him. He's just Cheryl, Linda, Chet, my dad, and he goes, Pablo. And Pablo's I'm not dead. He's you were for a little bit. But he's just this is ridiculous. I have to end this. And he goes, once and for all. And they're oh, yeah, right. He's no, I'm serious this time. And then Pablo starts to, lose his vision. And then he realizes he starts seeing something else. And he realizes that he's seeing through the book. And he's seeing, Ruby and Kaya and dead Zoe basically reading from the book. And he finds out where they're hiding. They're still at the Previtt house, basically. So Ash is okay, I'm going to go there, stop this once and for all. And, Pablo, you go to the cellar at the store to guard the rift so nothing gets in and nothing can get out. And Brandy, you stay home because you're feeling sick and everything. You just got to stay guard here. And they all kind of go their separate ways and branch off, which leads to a lot of crazy stuff. It's because Pablo goes to the cellar to keep the rift secure, but the rift is already open. And then out comes the Dark Ones. We finally see them. After all this build-up, we finally actually see the Dark Ones. And I really like the look of them. I think they look really cool. They're really creepy looking. Simple, but effective. And, they see him, and they actually grab him and, go to kill him, but then stop. And then they end up, dropping him, taking the lost pages, which is what Pablo was holding, and then leaves. And so Pablo's all confused. He's why didn't they kill me? And he kind of realizes that maybe they think that he's one of them because he's all connected to the book and everything. And then we cut to Ruby and Kaya, who are putting together the pages of the book to create the new pages, basically, when Ash shows up. And I love Ash in this scene. He has the Kandarian dagger to Kaya's throats. Ruby's all Kelly's already dead. And Ash is just like, well, I just saw her in a rift, not too long ago. And she's just like, the rift is open? She's like, that means the Dark Ones are coming. I'm like, this is not going to end well, Ash. And then it leads to a fight scene, which leads to a very sad moment because Ruby gets a hold of the chainsaw and proceeds to crush it and destroy it. Which is like, no, not the chainsaw. And even Ash is like heartbroken by this. It's just a crazy moment. And Kaya gets a hold of Ash, goes to like gouge his eyes out like she did to Zoe earlier, when all of a sudden the Dark Ones show up. First off, they take Kaya's spirit out of Kelly's body, and then they take out Kaya's body, put her soul back in, and then proceed just to burn her alive, and that's how they kill her. It's so screwed up. And then they take Ruby and just proceed to like suck the soul out of her, and they essentially kill Ruby once and for all. Now, like, I am a little bummed that one of the Ghost Beaters like didn't kill Ruby themselves. Like, Ash didn't give the final blow or anything. It was something else. But it does kind of work because, like, she's been, like, screwing over the Dark Ones this entire, like, show. So, and she's kind of the cause of all this. So it kind of makes sense for the Dark Ones to be able to get their revenge and kill her. Like, I didn't mind it too much. Like, my initial reaction was kind of disappointing where it's like, okay, I would have expected something grander. But when I think about it more, I'm like, oh, I like it. I think it works. It's interesting that they killed off Ruby, like, right before the season finale. Like, I was expecting them to do it in the finale, but they're doing it the episode before, which must mean that some crazy stuff is going to go down in the next episode if they've already killed their main villain in the previous episode. So that's a really interesting thing. I didn't expect that. So Ash leaves. He's in the car and everything. He's just like, all right, like, we're almost there. Like, Ruby's dead. They got the book, got Kelly's body. Then we cut to the local bar in Elk Grove, and, this one guy is just walking in. He walks over to the bartender, trying to get his attention. But the bartender has his back turned, is not listening. And the bartender turns to him, and he's a Deadite. And just all these Deadites just start popping up and just start attacking. It just turns into mass chaos, basically. Just the town is just overrun by Deadites, and just shit is hitting the fan. So we cut to Brandy, who's just hanging out in the house, and she's just hearing like all this commotion outside, like police cars driving back and forth and everything. And we get this one shot that's really creepy. It's like straight out of Halloween. Like, she's just looking out the window, and there's just like this like person just standing across the street just staring at her. It's actually really eerie and really creepy. To be honest, it doesn't have a whole lot of a payoff to it. But it's a really creepy image, and I really liked it. And then, all of a sudden, the evil force comes in. And then we get to the ultimate, like, Evil Dead 2 homage. The Evil Dead force breaks through the house, starts chasing Brandy all through the house. She ends up, getting free. There's this really cool shot where they did their own kind of spin on it. Literally, where the camera, the evil force is following her, and it does like a spin, like a 360 spin as it's following her. I'm like, whoa, that's really cool. That's something different. And she ends up getting free. She ends up getting out of the house, running into a shed, closing the door, and we get a shot that, seriously, it's like an exact copy of the shot from Army of Darkness when he runs and hides in the windmill, and the evil force is like attacking the door, and she's just like trying to hold it shut. And I'm like, okay, I see where they're going for. Like, this is Brandy's Ash moment. Because, the evil force stops attacking. She thinks, everything's well and good. But then she gets a phone call. She takes out the phone, and it's a call from her mom. And then the phone turns into like a dead-eyed creature, chomps down on her thumb, basically like just cutting off the tip of her thumb. It's like spurting blood and everything. And she throws the phone, and the phone just starts talking in her mom's voice and starts taunting her. The voice gets more and more demonic. And then the phone kind of turns into a creature and starts attacking her. And the creature design I wasn't too big on. Like, I don't know, it was a little, the CGI was kind of dodgy, and I wasn't too big on that design. But whatever, that aside, it was a really great sequence. It was a really great homage to Evil Dead. The director of this episode perfectly recreated the Sam Raimi style, and it was wonderful. My only real problem was when she's kind of like saying some of Ash's lines. Like, she says like, "They come get some," and she goes, "Who's laughing now?" That part I didn't really like. It was a little too on the nose and just it didn't really work for me. I could have done without those. But everything else I liked the sequence. There's one bit in the sequence actually where I was like, oh god, they are going full Ash, where she's just standing there and all of a sudden her finger and everything starts acting up, and we see her arm is slowly getting possessed. So she has to go cut it off, and she finds, like a saw in there and just starts amputating, and the blood flies everywhere. And then she wakes up and it was just like a dream. And like, okay, like, I'm kind of glad it didn't go that route. She doesn't need to be an exact carbon copy of Ash. And then she runs outside and runs into Pablo, who's like, we gotta get out of here, we gotta go. And this is just where everything just goes nuts. Like, the town is in complete chaos. There's already a moment where, like, just in the background there's a huge explosion. Just like all that crazy stuff. Ash is driving into town, and he just keeps hitting deadites. Like, he's just driving, just blood is splattering on his windshield. And he ends up getting to the town, and Pablo and Kelly are parked there, and he ends up almost running into them, but turning just in time and crashing straight into the bar. Like, everything is nuts. Everything is going crazy. So Pablo and Brandy are sitting there in the car, and the dark ones kind of come in, but they just totally ignore Pablo and just keep going, and they go towards Ash, where they take the book and insert the lost pages back into the book. So they have all the power in the world. They can unleash whatever they want. Just everything is screwed, basically. And, they start reading from the passage. And Ash, meets up with Pablo. And he's just like, what are they saying? And Pablo's just like, it's not good. And then all of a sudden, everything starts shaking. The ground starts cracking. Like, the ground caves in, essentially, and something extends up, and all of a sudden this giant-sized hand just comes right down. Ash is just like, oh, fuck. Cut to credits. End of episode. Jesus, like, I mean, we all knew that this was leading to the giant deadite that was in the trailer, that's on the poster, that's in the thumbnail of every single video of my reviews, So we knew that's what it was leading to, but it was still just insane to see it. They're really leading to have this, like, season and show, go out with a bang. Everything was just nuts in this episode, and just really well shot, really well directed, and just insanity all the way through, and I loved it. Like I said, I loved the more serious, kind of like badass tone it had, so it felt different than a lot of the sillier stuff we've had earlier in the season. Like, there's real stakes here. Things are ramping up, and they're going crazy. And that's what I loved about this episode. I love all, like, the Evil Dead-esque scenes with the evil force coming back. We haven't seen that in a while. The giant, like, Evil Dead 2 homage with Brandy in the workshop. Like, I really like Brandy. And Ash and Brandy's chemistry is great. That one moment I forgot to mention was hilarious. When Ash is about to leave, and him and Brandy hug, and she throws up on his shoulder, and they just, like, they move away, and there's this throw up on his shoulder, and Ash is like, well, that's okay, it's okay, don't worry, and he leaves. Great comedic bit. Like, I love this episode, and, like, it's really building to what will probably be an epic finale, and unfortunately it's the series finale, and man, I'm not ready for that. I feel like they should have announced that they were canceling the show earlier on in the season, because, like I said, even though we were expecting it, I still wasn't planning on, next week to be the series finale of the show. And that's just so soon, and I wish they would have announced that it was canceled earlier on. But it's looking like they're building to something special and to something insane, and I'm both excited and dreading it at the same time. But yeah, either way though, that's episode 9 of season 3 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. And yeah, that's about it for now. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.